to I May Be Wrong.
I don't know what this world is coming to.
But I don't think so. We're broadcasting from the greater Nashville area, the home of country music, beyond the borders of political correctness and identity politics. Facts and faith are our demarcations. Truth lights our path.
Here's the Barry White of Podcast Radio,
the Venerable Alfonso Ashworth.
Well. Welcome to I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so. Of course, there's a lot of things rolling and happening at the same time. I'm trying to juggle all these things. I'm trying to keep up with the technology. I'm trying to make sure my audience has an opportunity to hear this message. Look, this is not for the faint of heart. The big tech companies control the gate. They are the gatekeepers on this planet, but they do not control your destiny. They cannot control how you address what's laid before you in this life. They have no control over that. Of course, you already know I'm no longer broadcasting live on Facebook Live. I may have lost a big chunk of my viewers because of that. That's okay. That's all right. Because you cannot serve two masters. Now, if you want to chat, if you're listening, if you can chime in, I'm posting on WeMe. You can go to MeWe, go to MeWe.com. You can go there. You can follow me. You can get on my website. Go to I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so.com. That's I May Be Wrong, but I don't think so.com. I have added the links. You will no longer be able to go to my Facebook page from there. Now, you can share it on your page if you still have one. But I encourage you to leave Facebook. Leave them in the dustbin of the history of this country, because Facebook and Twitter has collaborated with groups like Google and other corporations to help bring down a duly elected president who I believe won this election. I personally believe it. I've had conversations with people recently that don't believe that it was rigged. This election was not only rigged, it was tampered with. It was tampered with before the election. Google, Facebook, Twitter, and all the networks, all the major networks like MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS, all those networks put their thumb on the scale to tilt this election in the favor of Joe Biden. Think about it. Joe Biden never campaigned properly, and people still ignore that his campaign was flawed to a point to where he did not answer questions. He refused to have press conferences. He refused to answer questions from legitimate reporters. And when reporters did ask questions, they were mundane, silly questions, like what flavor ice cream do you like? That sort of thing. They were laughing in the face of the American people. This election was a fraud. This country is going down the tube if the president is not reelected in January, if the Republicans do not retain the Senate, if the Nancy Pelosi becomes Speaker of the House and Chuck Schumer becomes the lead in the Senate, then we are going down a path of destruction, of perdition. So you cannot serve two masters. I know that there's a lot going on. I may not have the viewers, I may not have the listeners right now, but we will get them back. We have a lot of people now that's coming over to MeWe. A lot of my followers from Facebook are coming over to MeWe. A lot of them are considering ways to get people to chime in on other platforms. Look, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I just come on, give you my opinion on certain subjects, especially when it comes to politics and religion. But I do know you cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve the world and at the same time try to serve the Lord. It's impossible. You will be a hypocrite. You'll be a liar. If you think that killing babies, murdering babies in the womb, you can call it whatever you want. I mean, I have people try to justify that one all the time. And they'll try to say, well, it's up to the mother. It's up to the mother. As if the father has no say in the situation. Well, it's up to the woman's and her body. As if the seed that was planted had no say. You can't have a baby. You can't have the fruit. Now, I'm going to make it simple for you. You cannot bear fruit without a seed. Y'all hear me? I know that some of you out there, it may be some listening, and some of you going to hear this later in a re-air. Right now, it's broadcasting live on my YouTube live channel. So it is broadcasting there at the very moment as I speak. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can find that channel as well at I may be wrong, but I don't think so.com. Just look for the YouTube subscribe button. If you click on that button, it's going to take you to my YouTube page. This show is broadcasting live at the moment, and you can chat with me on that page, and I will see your chat if you make a post. I also am broadcasting on my website where you can see it as well. And I do have a chat feature on the website. I've got 2 buttons that you can actually use. If you want a small chat window, you don't want something taking up your screen, there is a small chat button that you can click there and make a post, make a comment. You don't have to put your name in there. It'll make a name for you. But if you would like to ask a question or make a comment, you can do that from there as well. It's always useful to hear from the audience so that we understand that you are getting your voice heard as well. You're not going to be able to do this on Facebook much longer, folks. They are controlling the narrative. The Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. If you're not understanding about Mark Zuckerberg, he is part of the global cabal. He is part of what they call the Agenda 21 project. Also, Twitter, Google, these companies are also part of this agenda. Look, you cannot control people unless you control the media, unless you control the message that they hear. That's as old as tyranny itself. The only way to control people, you have to control the narrative. You have to control the message. Right now, they have everyone believing that if you don't wear a mask, that somehow you're harming the planet and you're harming the rest of society. People, they're training you. They're training your young children. They're training your young women to succumb to eventually what's going to be Sharia law in this country. It's coming. You can mark my word. It is coming. Sharia law has already started establishing itself in certain parts of our country. Look what's going on in Wisconsin. Look what happened in Minnesota. Look what's happening in Michigan, in Detroit. The people of Michigan are livid that the president of the United States is not getting his proper due when it comes to counting votes, because Detroit, the large cities in Detroit, they're controlling the process through their governor, through their legislators, through their senators. This is happening all across the country. It's happening in Georgia, where it's happening in Georgia, where Atlanta is controlling the message in the voting booth. Why? Because a lot of these ballots that were sent out, 80 million unsolicited ballots. Who knows where they went and who signed them? And some of these places did not require an ID. How do you have an ID if you send in a ballot through the mail and the only way they're verifying that ID is through a social security number and a signature that anyone knows can be manufactured and couldn't be fabricated? You have no idea how damaging those 80 million ballots were. And the fact is, President Trump said it correctly when he said they're going to steal this election. And that's exactly. And it didn't start on election day. They didn't start stealing the election on election day. They started stealing the election 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, when Donald Trump was actually sitting in the office. And even before then, because they never thought he was legit. They never recognized him as legit. Now, all of a sudden, they want you and I to accept that Joe Biden is the president of the United States elect, when the fact is all the votes haven't been counted, especially all the legal votes. So the Democrats in 2000 went to court to try to get Al Gore elected president. He lost when it went to Supreme Court. It took 37 days from the time the election ended for the court to say that Al Gore lost that election. 37 days. We're barely 2 weeks in. And the media wants you to all of a sudden decide that no, there's no election fraud. Oh, no, there's no way that this election was rigged. Folks, do not buy their narrative. They've never been on board with the American people when it comes to the Constitution. They've always wanted the Constitution to be undermined, and they've been doing it for many, many generations, and they finally got the people in place to do it. It just took them a while. Of course, I'm Alfonso Ashworth. I am broadcasting live. This broadcast will be replayed, of course, on my YouTube channel. It will also be replayed on any other format that you can find me on a podcast. If you go to my podcast on my website at ImayBeWrong.com, you will be able to find me there on my podcast. I've got podcasts on Apple, on all the platforms, on iHeart, on Podbean, on Spreaker. You can find me on all of those platforms on my website. So you'll be able to find the show at some point, whether you hear it live or whether you hear it in a recorded format. You will be able to find the show. I am working diligently trying to get a way to get this message out that the American people have been bamboozled. How in the world did someone who was the number 2 under Obama, you may not recall this, but Obama didn't get as many votes the second time as he did the first time. Many people caught on to his game and didn't vote for him the second time, but he still won that election. Why? Because the media painted Romney as this womanizing, misogynist, plutocrat, this wealthy businessman who mistreated women, and then they painted him as this person from Utah, this Mormon, who had this flawed religion and kept a lot of Christians stayed at home because of that. Millions of Christians did not go and vote in 2012 because they did not like Romney's religion. Now, they didn't mind the fact that by them not voting, that actually helped Obama get reelected. And when he did, he, of course, pushed gay marriage. Of course, that's where we are today. Now that's the standard protocol. Now there's gay marriage everywhere. There's lesbians everywhere. There's this everywhere. It's all in your commercials. It's all over the place. You can't turn on a television channel and some commercial don't have a transgender or a gay marriage or a individual type marriage that's non-traditional. It's rare that you see a traditional family setting. Now they want to stop Thanksgiving. Why? Because that's a traditional holiday. They want to get rid of traditions in America. They want to get rid of Christmas. They want to get rid of Thanksgiving. Why? Because they feel like the Europeans mistreated the natives here and that they took advantage of the natives, and somehow Thanksgiving has been connected to that for many years. Now they see a way of getting rid of our worship. They don't want you to gather in large numbers. This pandemic was all designed to get people under their control. And now that they've done it, they're not going to let loose that control. They're not going to let you just walk away. We tried. We're trying now. Many of us are walking away from the platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Google, all these different networks. Fox, walking away. We just look sick. We don't have to tolerate this. Guess what? They're following us. Now they're trying to undermine Twitter. Now Twitter's trying to undermine Parler. Facebook is trying to undermine MeWe. CNN is now reporting that MeWe is some type of racist platform now. Why? Because millions of people have left these other platforms. And I got some good news for you. Donald J. Trump, whether he's the president or whether he's a private citizen, has over 73 million voters who follow him on these platforms. I know 60-something million follow him on Twitter. If Donald Trump chooses to, he could leave these platforms altogether, start his own network, start his own platforms, and compete immediately with Fox News. Fox News, I told people months and even a year or so ago, maybe even longer, that Fox News was undermining the conservative message. And it was clear that they were ridding themselves of the true conservative voices on their network, including Bill O'Reilly and others that were on that network that they slowly undermined and got out of their network. Now that network is trying to do a balancing act. Why did they call the election for Arizona before they called it for Florida? When Donald Trump was well ahead in Florida and actually was ahead in Arizona when they called the race. When Fox News called the race for Joe Biden in Arizona, Donald Trump was ahead in the poll, in the numbers. But yet, they waited till later and called Florida long after Florida had long gone for Trump. Trump was so far ahead in Florida, it was a landslide. And that's another confusing aspect of this election to me. Florida is one of the most diverse states in the union. Florida has the most diverse population in age, in race, in economics than any other state in the United States. Yet, that state has always been a bellwether state. If you cannot win Florida, you cannot be president of the United States. That's just always been the argument. That has always been the argument in modern times. Yet, Donald Trump won Florida in 2016. Donald Trump won Florida by more votes in 2020. Donald Trump had 9 million more votes in 2020 than he did in 2016. But some will have you believe that somehow the black vote and the youth vote put Joe Biden over the top of any election ever. 77 million votes. That's more votes than any politician has ever received in any election in the United States. So they're going to have you believe that somehow Donald Trump had a landslide in Florida, easily won Texas, won Ohio. No Republican has ever been president without winning Ohio. Donald J. Trump won Ohio with a rhino governor, by the way. He's a Republican, but he's only a Republican in name only. He won Ohio. Donald J. Trump then goes and is winning in all the other states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. By 10:30, he was ahead by 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania, and they stopped the voting. But folks, I was born on December the 1st, 1961. And I was born, and if I was born at night, it wouldn't have been last night. I've been on this earth for 58, almost 59 years. And I've seen elections that have come and go, be close, right down to the wire. And I've seen landslide elections. Ronald Reagan won 49 states in his second term. Mondale didn't have a chance in the world. And Mondale was a better campaigner than Biden. Biden has never been a good campaigner. Never has. If you go back to when he was running for office, the guy made more blunders than you can imagine. Couldn't read a script and not mess it up. And somehow he takes a far left senator from California and wins Georgia. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it. There is no way that the state of Georgia has gone blue based on this campaign and based on these candidates. Neither from the South. Think about that for a moment. The tradition has been that you couldn't win an election if you didn't win the southern states or get a southern running mate. Joe Biden from Delaware, Kamala Harris from California, not African American, by the way, and somehow they flipped the state of Georgia. I ain't buying it. Not legally. Not legally. Of course, I'm broadcasting. I don't know who's hearing me right now. I'm hoping that we're getting out there. The message is getting out there somehow. But we're going to fight this fight one way or the other. If I have to record the show and then play it later, then that's the way it's going to be for a while. But I am not going back to Facebook. I'm not going to use Twitter. These people have collaborated with the enemy. They've collaborated with foreign governments in the aspect that Joe Biden was in bed with the Chinese through his son, that they were getting illegal money through his organizations that he was affiliated with. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and his brother, Joe Biden, Jim, I think Jim Biden is his name, all were getting paid, and who knows who else was involved in that. I promise you there's a lot more politicians in Washington that were either doing the same thing or connected to the same organizations, because it was too much money flowing in here from China and God knows where. Joe Biden, all the mansions, he's got homes on the beach. He's got a home inside each place where he visits. But he's done all this, and his wife was a school teacher. He's done all of this somehow on the back of being a politician, on the salary of a politician. I ain't buying it. You buy it if you want to, and unfortunately, many of you are going to buy this because you just don't want the truth. You don't want to see the truth. Black America, most by and large, have always been used to steal and rig elections. The black community has been used and abused this way since the early 50s. They were actually used and abused after the Civil War. Don't want to go into that, but when the carpetbaggers come down, they actually exploited the ignorant blacks to get their vote. And the blacks, educated blacks, finally wised up, convinced people to vote for the party that freed the slaves, the Republican Party. Many of them were voting Republican until the 50s and then into the 60s. And of course, we know what happened in the 1960s. The Civil Rights Act came along in 1965. And of course, we also know that the Welfare Act was put in place. It did completely demolish the black family. To this day, the black family has never recovered. Many live in poverty. Many go to unqualified and low performing schools. And yet, many of them, according to what I'm understanding, went and voted for the party that put them in chains, the party of the KKK. Many of them voted. I'm not saying every Democrat is a member of the KKK. I'm not saying that. But their party, the Democratic platform, is very controlling. It's designed to control people's lives through government regulations, big government, big brother, watching over you, watching what you're doing, seeing what you're doing, determining how you learn and what you learn, and determining what medicines you can have and when you can have them. That's big government, big Democratic politics. And that, my friend, is called bondage. It's bondage. Free is not free. Of course, I'm trying to get the message. I don't see any chatting going on the platforms. Many people have not left Facebook. Some have. Some have followed. Some of them left the what I call the plantation of Facebook. They left that plantation, and they have followed others to other platforms. And some are trying those platforms out. Some people are getting familiar with Parler. Parler, of course, some people don't like it in terms of its verification process. I hear that I am verified on Parler. I'm hearing that some people are saying that the sending in the information could be a violation. I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't think I verified that way. I don't think I have to send in a driver's license. But in any case, I'm trying to get verified on MeWe so that people know that, one, that I qualify for what I post, that I'm not just a robot or somebody out there posting nonsense. I'm trying to educate people who are wanting to be educated. Everyone does not want education, quality education, history, civics. Some people just want the fluff. They want the little fluff, and they don't care about the meat and the potatoes. They want the dessert. They want that sugar. They want that ice cream they got for you. But you got to eat your meal first. Of course, Dale Carr says you are exactly right. She said, keep telling the truth. Thank you, Dale. Dale's one of my supporters. And I see that she was able to get through on a message. You can message me through my website. You can go to I may be wrong, but I don't think so.com. You can message there. You can comment there. You can leave me. You can share information there. And my website is very, very friendly. It's secure. It's a secure site. If you'll notice, it has the HTTPS on there. That means that site is secure. So you can go there and feel comfortable about posting and about sharing. And we don't ask for any of your personal information, but you can subscribe to my page. If you subscribe to the page, you will then get emails, and that way you can stay in touch. Folks, I'm going to talk until my voice just quits. That's how much I love this country. I'm afraid that millions of Americans are going to get disheartened by this election and just tune out. Half of the Republicans who voted believed that the election was rigged. Half believe it was rigged. Folks, if that's 73 million people and half of them refuse to vote in the next election, We will never have a Republican in the White House ever in your lifetime. I'm not going to say ever again. That's a long time. But we will not have another Republican in the White House. Dale Carr says, thanks, stay in the fight. I will do that, Dale. I promise you. I will stay in this fight until I just cannot do it no more. Of course, as usual, we're coming to the end of the broadcast. I am thinking about extending the broadcast. I'm thinking of new ways to try to get the message out there. Please share this. Share my website with your friends at ImayBeWrongButIDon'tThinkSo.com. There they can then connect with every way possible. They can connect with me through MeWe, through YouTube, and also through my chat. And also they can find me on Parler at I May Be Wrong. Just go to Parler.com at I May Be Wrong. When you get to Parler, type at I May Be Wrong and you will find me. Join my page there. Go to MeWe. Find me there. Click on my link on my webpage. That will take you directly to my page so you can ask for an invite. We have to start building a new coalition. We have to start building a new army. We lost this battle, possibly, but we cannot afford to lose the war. So I want to tell you, of course, as always, God bless you. God bless America. And by all means, God bless our children in and out of the womb.
You've been listening to Alfonso Ashworth, the Barry White of Podcast Radio. Go forth and share his message. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Remember, no two people can ever occupy the same place at the same time. You were uniquely and wonderfully made. Born an original. Don't die a copy. God bless. Peace.